Okay. All right, so here's what we were hoping would happen. Yes. Nope. All right, so we're using synthetic division to find the rational roots of this thing right here. So it's 3x cubed minus 6x squared minus 1 plus 2. Okay? Some of you were a little bit confused when we're looking for rational roots. You had a misconception that if this was positive, then all the answers had to be positive. Okay? They could be positive or negative. Okay? From someone who did this and got at least one of the answers, what was one that worked? Okay, so 2 was the easy one to find that worked. So 2 times 3 is 6. Negative 6 plus 6 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. Negative 1 plus 0 is negative 1. And then 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Those add up to be 0. Yep. So that means that x equals 2 is one of our answers, okay? Okay, right. Many of you, most of you stopped right there, okay? But remember from what we talked about yesterday, if this is a cubic equation, you're going to have 3 answers, and we've only found 1, all right? If this is x cubed, what is this? Nope. X squared. It goes down 1. So now I'm going to try and solve 3x squared plus 0x minus 1 equals 0. Yes? Uh-huh. Yeah, positive and negative. Yeah. Okay. Yep. So the factors of 2 were plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2. The factors of 3 are plus or minus 1 and plus or minus 3. So that means we could have done plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 1/3, or plus or minus 2/3. Yep. Okay. All right. So now I have this broken down to 3x squared minus 1 equals 0. How do I solve that? Add 1. And then divide by 3. So x squared equals 1/3, which means x equals, right, plus or minus the square root of 1/3. Okay? So there are your 3 answers. X equals 2, x equals the square root of 1/3, or x equals negative square root of 1/3. All right? So like I said, most of you got the first one, and then you just stopped. But remember that you still have to solve the polynomial that you get from the first time. Okay? So, no, you can do that. So if you do the quadratic formula, then b is 0. So opposite of b is 0. Plus or minus the square root of b squared is still 0, right? Minus 4 times 3 times negative 1, all divided by 2a, which would be 6. So far, so good? Hang on. Right, you can't use the original equation because this isn't a quadratic. Okay, so you have to use this as a, b, and c, and then you'll get the same answer that I got, okay? Yeah. What? 3x squared y? Why did I get 3x squared? Oh, okay. Because I started with an x cubed, and then that means my next answer is going to be x squared. And then if I did this again, it would be x. Okay? All right? Okay, any other questions about that first one? Okay, so then the next one was pretty much the same. So now we are going to use synthetic division to find the rational roots of this one. What's a number that works for that? Negative 2. Okay, so negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Negative 2 and negative 6 is negative 8. These two together make 16. Add those together, you get negative 3. Multiply those, you get 6, and then I'm 0. Okay, so x equals negative 2 is one of them. Okay, now we have it down to a quadratic. Okay, So like Abby was saying before, we can use the quadratic formula now to solve this, but we're going to use these numbers, not those. Okay? So x equals the opposite of b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2a. Well, this really is the only way, unless you want to keep guessing and checking with the synthetic division. So you could do this again and try numbers, but I would say once you get down to a quadratic, just use the quadratic formula and then you don't have to guess and check. Okay? All right, so this works out to be 8 plus or minus, conveniently, underneath there is 100. And that's nice because the square root of 100 is 10. So this would be 8 plus or minus 10 over 6. So if I go 8 plus 10, that's 18 divided by 6. If I go 8 minus 10, that's negative 2 divided by 6. So those are 3 and negative 1/3. No, you should be able to simplify from that down to here. Okay? So hang on. So my three answers for this one are x equals negative 2, 3, or negative 1/3. Yeah. No, it's 18 over 6, comma. Are you unconfused now? That's a comma. Okay. Yes, thank you, Emma. The last two should have been really easy. If you did not get those two correct, then you should probably punch yourself in the face. Okay. If you know that 2 minus I is an answer, then you know that 2 plus I is an answer. If you know that negative square root of 5 is an answer, then you know that positive square root of 5 is an answer. Okay? You only had to do that. That's why, yeah. Abby? Yes. Okay, that's why we're retaking it. In a second. All right, and then the last one is not much more difficult than number 3. We're told that it has roots negative 3 and I, but if I is a root, what is another root? Negative I. Okay, so these are the three roots. So if we want to write this as a polynomial in... Okay, now you know. Okay, so you got it now? All right. Okay, does that kind of make sense? Yeah. All right, so let's go around again. So I'm going to give you guys a retake here. Yep, oops, sorry. What, Anna? What are you freaking out about? Okay, ask me questions. Which one? The first one? Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Poof. No. Is any of that familiar? Okay, so I'm not going to give you this quiz. We'll figure it out as we go. Too bad. Mm-hmm. I know. No. I'm going to take that from you. I'm assuming you want that as your score. Okay. Anna, first one. Okay, when you guys are done, I need both your quizzes in case your first score is better than this one. Then I want to just put the highest one in there. Okay, Anna. You're only going to get 1 grade on both of them. Oh, no, I'm making the first problem worth 2 points. Okay. Did you want me to go through this more slowly? Okay. Yep. You get that? Yes. Okay. So, I mean, I'm not. Oh, I didn't stop. Do you have any questions from last night's assignment? 27? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you bet. Okay, 27. Is this the wrong one? Is this the section before? Or is this one of them? That's wrong. Are we in 5.6? Okay. They're basic. Okay, this one is what we're looking for. All right. So for this one, it says for each equation, state the number of complex roots. How many complex roots will there be? 5, because it's x to the 5th. So 5 complex roots. Okay, list the possible number of real roots. How many real roots could there possibly be? Take it. No? 5. 5 real roots. Okay, then it says list all the possible rational roots. So that would be the factors of this divided by the factors of that. So plus or minus 1, 3, okay, here's a fun news flash for you. This problem does not actually ask you to figure out which of those work. So you're done. Okay? They just want you to make the connection between this exponent here and these two numbers here, and then to list out the answer or the numbers that you could possibly try. Okay? Ariel, does that help you? Okay. All right. Chris, questions? Chris, question? Nope. Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. Alexandria, questions? Nope. Sage is not here. Shh. Peyton, questions? Okay. All right. So 30, now it wants you to actually find the answers. Okay? And I'm so glad, Peyton, that you asked for number 30, because this is the big reveal here. So I'm going to do what we were doing before. 1x cubed, negative 4x squared, 9x, and negative 36. And then we're going to try and find a number that works for that, okay? Well, my choices are the factors of this divided by the factors of 1. So that would be plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 4, plus or minus 6, plus or minus 9, plus or minus 12, plus or minus 18, plus or minus 36. And at that point you go, no, that is ridiculous. There are 18 choices. I'm not going to work through all 18 and try to figure those out, okay? So I'm here to tell you, here's a quick way to get that first answer, okay? Yeah, if we look at the graph of the function, so if I graph x cubed minus 4x squared, yeah, that'd be awesome. Uh-huh. Thank you very much. Okay, if I look at this graph, where are the zeros of that function? Where it crosses the x-axis. So if I click on that, what is an answer that's going to work? 4. Okay, so now I have my first one is 4. So now I can use that to go bring down the 1. 4 times 1 is 4. Negative 4 and 4 is 0. 4 times 0 is 0. 9 and 0 makes 9. 4 times 9 is 36. And so that did work. Okay? Yes. So in the future, I probably can't let you use Desmos because of the whole internet thing. But I'll probably just like give you the graph or something, and then you can use that to figure it out. Okay, so now since we started out with x cubed, what do we have now? X squared. Okay, so x squared plus 0x, so I'm not going to write that, plus 9 equals 0. So I have to solve that for x. How do I do that? Subtract 9 from both sides. So x squared equals negative 9. And then square root. Remember, as we have discussed, anytime you have a square root, it's a plus or a minus. So it's plus or minus the square root of negative 9. What's the square root of negative 9? 3i. Very good. So my other two answers are plus 3i and minus 3i. So x equals 4, x equals 3i, and x equals negative 3i. All right? So the graph only gives you the first one. And then you guys are going to have to use a little bit of algebra to take it home from there. All right? Peyton, does that make sense? Great question. Thank you so much for asking for number 30. What a great student you are. Okay, Luke, any questions from the assignment? Any? 15? Okay. That's very kind of you, Luke. Okay, without using a calculator, find all the roots. All right, so Luke, what are the numbers that go here? Okay, stop right there. What's the next number after 1? 0. How come? Because there's no x to the 4th. Okay, so I got to tuck a 0 in there for the x to the 4th. Luke, what's next? Negative 8, and then 0, because there's no x squared, and then negative 9, and then guess what? I need another 0 because it's plus 0 on the end. Okay? All right. This is crazy and fun because this is really negative 9x plus 0. What are the factors of 0? 0. So what am I going to put in the box? 0. Okay, so 1 multiply 0, add a 0, multiply 0, add is negative 8, multiply 0, add a 0, multiply 0, add is negative 9, multiply 0, and I get 0. Okay? Thank you. All right, so that means we know that x equals 0 is one of the solutions. Okay? All right, so if I started with x to the 5th, what am I on now? X to the 4th. So I have x to the 4th, 0x cubed, so I don't care about that, minus 8x squared, minus 9 equals 0. So this is a little bit of a tricky question. I'm sure that's why Luke asked about it. What I have told you before is once you get here, you can just use the quadratic formula, but I'm not really anywhere close. I'm still on x to the 4th. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use one of our other solving strategies, and I'm going to factor that. What multiplies to be x to the 4th? X squared and x squared. And then I'm looking for two numbers that multiply together to be negative 9 and add to be negative 8. Good. Minus 9 and positive 1. Okay, so now I have two smaller problems to solve. So I have x squared minus 9 could equal 0, or I have x squared plus 1 could equal 0. How do you solve this one? I could, yes. This is the difference of two squares. I could factor this into x plus 3 times x minus 3, and that tells me what two numbers work. Plus or minus 3. And then this one here does not factor, so I have to solve it the old-fashioned way. Subtract 1. So x... Good. So then square root both sides. And what is the square root of negative 1? I. Okay, so my 5 answers to this one, because that started out as x to the 5th, are x equals 0, x equals plus or minus 3, and x equals plus or minus I. Okay? Yeah. Does that make sense? That was a lot. That was a big one. That was another good question. You click on the thingy. Well, you only need one, so just plug in -2 and then you're good. Uh-huh. It's your time, huh? Okay, Anna, did you have any questions from the assignment? Nope. Yeah, but nope. Okay. Anybody else? Sydney? 39? Oh. Okay, 39. Okay, 39 says a twist in a river can be modeled by the function 1/3 x cubed plus 1/2 x squared minus x in between -3 and 2. A city wants to build a road that goes directly along the x-axis. How many bridges would it have to build? So in other words, they're asking how many times will this graph cross the x-axis in between -3 and 2? Okay, so fractions, that's fun. We haven't played with that yet. So these are my numbers. Okay, what's the only number I can try at this point? 0. Yeah, the factors of this are just 0. So I'm going to put a 0 in there. So if I do that, then I come up with that. It seems like there's going to be 3 because it's x cubed, but they might have non-real answers. Nope, 0 is a real answer. No, like 3i. Yeah, like with an I in there. Okay, so now we got this. Let's go ahead and find this out with the quadratic formula. Okay, so opposite of b is -1/2. Plus or minus the square root of b squared is 1/4. Minus 4 times 1/3 times -1, all divided by 2 times a. Okay. Yep, this is a little bit icky. So -4 times 1/3 is -4/3. Times -1 is plus 4/3. So what's 1/4 plus 4/3? Anybody got that one? What? I'm going to go with 19/12. Okay, so the common denominator is 12, right? 3 times 4 is 12. And then the way you get the top numbers, you multiply that times that, and then add them together. So 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 4 is 16. Add those together and you get 19. What's up, Callista? Okay, so how many answers am I going to get from this? 2, because I've got a positive underneath the square root. They're going to be weird answers, so I don't want to mess with it. But that's okay. They don't want to know what the answers are. They just want to know how many bridges there will be. And so I believe that the answer is 3 bridges. Okay? Yeah. What comes across? Yeah, right. And if you were like really doing this problem as an engineer, you would put it into computer software and just do it that way. So yeah, I'm just trying to do the math teacher thing. Okay. All right. Any other questions from that assignment? Okay. Can I have those, please?
Okay. Wait.
All right. I just want to in the last 8 minutes that we have together, I just want to show you something. This is not on the state test, and it's not, it's whatever. I'm just going to show you this thing. I'm going to give you an extra credit assignment that you can do, okay? All right, so I'll make a little triangle of numbers here, okay? Maybe you've seen this before in another class. Pretty common, pretty popular triangle of numbers. What comes next? 1, 5. Nope. Nope. McKenna. 10. Then what? 10, 5, and then 1. Okay, someone whose name does not start with an S, what comes next? Ma'am? Well, I need a 1, right? And then a 6, and then what? What? 15, 20, 15, 6, and 1. Okay, how are we doing this? Good. You add the 2 that are above that number to get the 1 there, okay? So 10 and 10 makes 20, 5 and 1 makes 6, and so forth, okay? This is, it's 6, yeah. This is called Pascal's, oh, you could ask. Okay. This is called Pascal's triangle, and it has a funny little use, okay, that comes up sometimes. So if I asked you what x plus y to the 0 power is, what would you say? 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. If I asked you what x plus y to the first power is, what would you say? X plus y. And just for funnies, I'm going to write that as 1x plus 1y. Okay? If I asked you what x plus y squared is, what would you say? This turns out to be 1x squared plus 2xy plus 1y squared. Okay? Do you hopefully recognize these numbers? What are those numbers from? Pascal's triangle. Okay, so without working the whole thing out, if I did x plus y cubed, then I would get 1x cubed plus 1 plus 2 is 3. Now we haven't talked about the exponents, but 3x squared y plus 3xy squared plus 1y cubed. Okay? So Pascal's triangle is something that you can use to expand these things out really quickly without having to figure out what x plus y times x plus y times x plus y is. Okay? So you can use Pascal's triangle for that instead. All right? So, for example, if I wanted to do a plus b to the 6th power, then I would have to go all the way down to the 6th row of Pascal's triangle, which is 1, 6, 15, 20, and then it repeats. 1, 6, 15, 20, and then 15, 6, and 1. This would be 1 what? A to the 6th plus 6 a to the 5th and then b plus 15 a to the 4th b what? 2 b squared plus a to the 3rd b to the 3rd plus b good plus to the 5th plus finally b to the 6th. So these exponents are going down. This was a to the 6th, a to the 5th, a to the 4th, a to the 3rd, a squared, and then a. These exponents are going up. b squared, b cubed, b to the 4th, b to the 6th. Okay? So that's just a really quick way that you can do those types of things. Yeah. Yeah, the triangle is also in your book. Yep. Yep. Okay, so there's the triangle if you want to take a picture of Pascal's triangle. Yep, a guy named Blaise Pascal. It is in the book, yeah. If you guys are worried about your score on the quiz, or if you didn't get a good grade on your first homework assignment, here's a way for you to make that up. Right here, yeah.